Cinemajaw is sponsored by Overcast, an independent podcast app that embraces the open world of podcasting instead of locking it down. No exclusives, no premium content, no paywalls. Just a great podcast app for everyone. Get it for free in the App Store. And we thank them for their support. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from Rye the Movie Guy's house in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting right alongside us is Filmy and Phil.
Hello.
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we are going to talk everything from strippers to Van Wilder as we cover our favorite stripper movies, retro review of Van Wilder, and a whole lot more.
You know what? This is weird, Ryan. This is the first time since March of 2020 that we're actually podcasting in the same room together.
Not only
I'm
that,
not used to it, dude.
I know. Okay, so
Weird.
So we are at my condo, and not only that, you got to go even further back to when we had Phil in the same room with us recording, because prior to that, Phil had moved to LA.
That's right.
We might be going on close to maybe 15 to 17 months since the three of us sat in the same room.
Far longer.
Podcast.
At
Even
least
longer?
2019.
Wow.
I was in LA October 1st, 2019.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. It wasn't long after you left, but I guess it was a little bit longer than I thought.
It was March after I left.
Yeah.
It was the one with E-Man.
So it was like 6 months after you left that the world kind of fell apart.
Right. Yeah. So close to 2 years since the three of us sat in a room and podcasted together. This is pretty exciting.
It is.
I
It's
forgot what they
weird.
looked like. For the record, I did already break some of Ryan's stuff.
That's you.
A glass has already been shattered. This is true.
True story. Yeah.
Well, we're drinking on this podcast, which we haven't been doing on the Zooms because sometimes we're recording midweek. This is also a rarity, a Friday record. We don't almost ever record a podcast on a Friday night.
If my tie is being around my head like a headband by like the midway point, don't be surprised.
This is going to get wild, folks.
Yeah, it's going to get wild.
What do we have going on here, Phil?
Yeah, Ryan, it's going to get Van Wild. We're doing our retro review of Van Wilder, like you said. And not only are we keeping the Ryan Reynolds month going with that review, but we have the one fact at the beginning. And then, as always, I got my boatload of facts for the specific Van Wilder movie when we dive into that, too.
Nice. And we have a review of Zola. Or are we calling it at Zola?
It's interesting because I've seen it called only Zola.
Yeah.
But the poster does have the at.
Right, because it's a Twitter handle.
Right. And
Yeah.
we'll talk about how the movie came to be, and
Right.
it has something to do with a Twitter feed and why that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So we will discuss that. Plus, Matt, you got to be very excited. We're only a few days away from seeing the press screening of Black Widow. This will be the second movie you see in a movie theater. And
That's true. Wow.
I thought, well, let's celebrate the occasion and bring back Stump the Kubinski Marvel edition.
Oh, you're trying to stump me on Marvel?
I am going to try to stump you on Marvel.
Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen, dude.
And what I did is I did 5 questions. I sent these questions over to Phil. Before we get to Stump the Kubinski at the end of the show, me and Phil are going to put a wager on how many you're going to get correct out of the 5.
Okay. Is this like you guys are actually gonna get bet real cash? Wait, don't I owe Phil some money or
I'm
something?
sure you do.
I think it was like
Who don't you owe money
$2,000.
to?
No.
I think it was like
a $5 bet on
$2,000,
something.
and I also think there was a little bit of alcohol involved. if I recall
Jawheads, we made a
correctly.
bet on the air. I don't remember what it was, but if Phil wants his money, you're going to have to let him know what I owe him for.
Don't, because I'm actually 99% sure I owe Matt money.
Yeah, that could be too. Please remind me.
Matt's the guy that he walks into a party and he pretty much owes everybody in the room money.
Yeah, that's why I always show up with beer, except for today. I knew you'd have beer.
Now we're switching things up a little bit again this week. We're going to do a film discussion. We'll try to rank maybe our A24 movies since Zola is A24.
Yeah, or at least a few of them.
Yeah, so we're going to have a film discussion after Zola. We got the retro review, but you also wanted to do some coming attractions.
Of course, we're a movies podcast. Why not look at what's coming out?
What movie do you want to do a coming attraction to, Matt?
Well, I searched deep and far and wide, Ryan, and turns out there is a movie with Nicolas Cage where he plays I think a homicidal chef.
What are you thinking?
I remember every meal I ever cooked. I remember every person I ever served. You live your life for them, and they don't even see you. You don't even see yourself. We don't get a lot of things to really care about. Who has my pig?
What'd you guys think of that?
All right. Well, while we were waiting for you, Matt always shows up late to record a podcast. We went into my screening room and watched the pig trailer.
Oh, nice.
And my favorite part is when he starts to talk about how much he cared about cooking and all the meals that he made and the meals that the people that he made these meals for. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, wait a minute. He's actually trying to be serious here. It's about a truffle pig.
Yeah.
That has been stolen.
A very gorgeous truffle pig. It's orange and
Nick Cage looks wild. I mean, looks like he's been living in the woods for a long time. The way his hair is all crazy. And he gets knocked in the head by a door at one point and he looks disheveled. And it's like, yes, I want to see this movie. I want to see it now.
Yeah.
I want to know what the hell this truffle pig can do.
I think after Mandy, Cage has really entered a new phase of his career where he is like the indie horror guy. And I have no idea if this is even a horror movie. This is a movie about a man and a truffle pig. That's really all I know. It looks like it could get dark, but I have no friggin' idea.
I agree. It's very confusing. I don't know what's going on. The only two things I picked up is that it's definitely a female pig because I've been to a state fair and you can tell the difference.
Really, Phil? How can you tell the difference? I'm going to call you out. How do you know?
A male pig's got a huge nutsack. If you,
well, that'll do it. Yeah, that makes sense.
They're like
Checks
massive,
out.
like the size of my head. Then the second thing that I picked up on
Never going to look at your head the same way again.
or a pig.
Yeah.
Just see me every time it turns around. The second thing I picked up on is that, like, as Ryan mentioned, like, he's very disheveled, very bloody. And it's so weird to me that, like, they don't seem to address that, right? Like, he's in, like, a lot of fine dining establishments.
Looking the way he does.
And no one's like...
But he's in the kitchen.
No, he's not. There's one scene where they're talking to some server and they're like, "Do you know? Tell him who he is." Something along those lines.
Yeah, but that's the
and
thing.
He's like looking like
first,
a hobo.
Right? They're like, they don't know who he is at first, and then once they recognize him, it's like obviously this person is like really respected. So you know, if Anthony Bourdain showed up and he looked like shit, it's still Anthony Bourdain. You know.
I guess I just wonder, right? Like we did First Responders not that long ago. Why is no one asking Nicolas Cage if he needs help?
I think he's fine.
I showed up looking less bloody one time because I had a bike accident. And you guys were like, Phil,
you were
back
also
it up, Phil.
covered in
we're
mud.
Gonna have like a. Are you mean to tell me that Nicolas Cage isn't covered in mud too? He looks like he hasn't showered in 3 days. If I showed up like that, you guys would have been like, jaws off, call 911.
Oh, maybe.
Well, I'm excited for Pig, and I love the title, Pig, P-I-G.
So this is like John
Simple.
Wick meets Mandy.
Truffle Hunters.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
I'm in.
Yes. It comes out in July, Jawheads. We will obviously try to review this one for sure.
We're all over it.
I'm excited. All right. Before we get to our Zola review, it is Ryan Reynolds month. Do we have another fact on Ryan Reynolds? We've been learning so much about this guy.
We do. So this one, apparently, Ryan Reynolds has stated that he suffers from claustrophobia, which all started towards the end of filming in the 2010 film Buried, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, considering that almost entirely he attributes it to the fact that he was locked in a coffin and it was gradually filled with more and more sand as time went on. I also have to imagine he's probably a little weary around funerals. Anytime he sees like landscapers outside his yard with shovels.
I still haven't seen that movie, and you've always recommended it to me.
It's worthy of your time.
All right, I'll
check it out. It's a really good Ryan Reynolds, and totally. I mean, I could see if you were constantly filming in a small location like that, it would start to wear on you.
Can I ask you a question? Does he do like a little Ryan Reynolds voiceover? Like, you might be asking yourselves, how did I get buried in this coffin?
He does
Well,
not.
let me tell you. No,
he does not, and
that's a bummer.
thankful he doesn't. Bury that voiceover. Good stuff. All right, Matt, we ready to get the show rolling with our Zola review?
Hell yeah. The latest film from the amazing A24 studio is called Zola, or At Zola. Can it uphold the mostly stellar track record from the studio, or is this crime-drenched stripper road story just a dog in pasties? Ryan and I shined up our rhinestone stilettos to find out.
Hey, last month I went dancing at this cute spot in Florida where my roommate's girl made like 5 G's a night. Because of my friend.
We just met yesterday and you're already trying to take road trips together?
Be ready by 2.
You want to hear a story about how me and this bitch fell out? It's kind of long, but it's full of suspense.
You want to go somewhere with me?
A title card informs us early on that the story of Zola is based on a 148 tweet thread hashtagged The Story that went viral several years ago. It's the account of 2 young strippers, Zola and Stephanie, who have a dazzling first meeting and the next day decide to go on a road trip to Florida where they plan to dance in clubs and make a ton of money. Complicating the trip are Stephanie's idiot boyfriend Derek and mysterious roommate X. At first, everything seems like fun, but as soon as the party reaches its first stop, things take a turn and keep on turning toward crime, sex trafficking, backpage ads, hustlers, and murder. All rhinestone coded, of course. The real hashtag The Story coined the term hoism, and Zola exposes an underworld or subculture much in the same vein as Tangerine, though not quite as deftly. The main drawback to Zola is an uneven tone between being horrified and laughing at the crazy situations and the vernacular of the subjects. It's clear that much of this is played for laughs, but it borders on exploitation, and at certain times in the movie, I was unsure about how I was supposed to react to the situations as they unfolded. Also, I understand this comes from a viral tweet, but compared to similar films like the aforementioned Tangerine, Florida Project, or even a Spring Breakers, the level of tense situations never quite reaches a fever pitch. The acting here by newcomers was all pretty darn good, especially Taylor Page as Zola. Her stoic strength was the best thing to hang on to throughout the film. Bottom line, this is an interesting, darkly comedic movie about sex trafficking and road trips gone wrong. But that is a very tight genre.
I'm going to use a dating analogy. Sometimes you would go out, meet someone, and have no chemistry. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt with Zola. I could not vibe at all with this film. The characters, the plot, nothing. I laughed at a couple of one-liners, but overall, I sat there wondering when this film was going to take off. It never did for me. Mm-hmm. There were actually a couple of parts that turned me off. I want to mention one and get your take on it, Matt. There's a scene with the 2 women going to the bathroom. The camera's overhead and goes between the 2 stalls showing them peeing. Mm-hmm. What was the point of that?
Oh, I'll tell you the point of that.
Okay, here's my guess anyways. Was it to show us that Stephanie was sitting on the seat while Zola was hovering over it not to touch the dirty toilet?
100%.
Okay, that's what it was?
Yeah, so what it's basically showing in that scene is that Zola is conscious and wants to be healthy and take care of herself. Her pee was a normal color because you do see what's in the bowl. And then you see Stephanie, who's just sitting right down in this truck stop seat. And then when she gets up, like it's like orange pee in the bowl, like she hasn't been hydrating or something.
Sure.
It's kind of gross, but
it was pretty gross. But I felt like maybe watching this with a crowd, if I was in a crowded theater, it would have helped me like get into the vibe with Zola.
Maybe.
And get in on the laughs and the craziness of it. I was reminded of the movie Go, and in particular, that crazy Vegas night scene that Simon in the movie has. I wanted that kind of energy with Zola, and I never got it. This was actually a total miss for me. I could not get down with this movie.
Yeah, I can appreciate where you're coming from on that. It wasn't a total miss for me, but I think what they're going for is this like Pulp Fiction, everything crazy happening in one night, like The Hangover or something like that. And it just never quite plugs into that.
Right.
100%. There's some cool things going on there. And I'm really happy for this storyteller who's like, obviously her real Twitter handle is Zola. Can we throw it in the jaw box, Phil? I forgot to write it in my notes what her name is. But, you know, based on a true story that's gotten a lot of credit online, happy for her. But the movie adaptation, I don't think is a hit.
Right.
But I like the acting. The colors were great. There's some things going on in this movie, and maybe it connects to other people.
But I think some of the characters that are involved, be it sort of the boyfriend was funny. I'll give him a little bit of credit. Kind of, right. Not great enough to be where like, wow, that was hilarious.
Right.
The pimp was weird enough, but not how I would want him to be strange, and you didn't know which way he was going to go. Exactly, 100%. And then you have like the two sort of thugs that they have the run-in with that could have been much better also. All of it was like, well, this is subpar characters, I thought.
Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to give anything away, but this is a viral story that's out there on the internet. So there's a scene where Derek, I'll just say, does something really stupid, but it's also kind of funny toward the end of the movie. And even that, I'm like,
I agree. Was I supposed to laugh? I honestly wasn't sure what reaction I was supposed to have. I thought, again, that's where I thought, well, if I was in the theater and everybody laughed, maybe I would have thought, oh yeah, there is some humor there. But to be honest, when I watched it, I was just sort of like, just jaw open. Like, I don't know what I was supposed to feel, or I didn't know how to react.
Right. And also in the real story that happened from much higher up, and, also, the way they blocked that, the way they framed it, how it worked when they showed the reverse angle.
Right.
I'm like, how did he make it to there? And he
it's
wouldn't
not
have been
even
that injured.
far. I agree. 100%. Same thing I thought. I was looking at it. I thought, it just doesn't look right. I don't know. I don't
It didn't
get
look
it.
right. Yeah. They sort of insulted our intelligence there.
I agree. And you had brought up these movies that definitely it has the flavors of, right? You got Tangerine, you got Florida Project, and even Spring Breakers to some degree. But all of those movies ramp up the tension, ramp up the craziness, where Zola just didn't. I just felt like, okay, here we go. And then, no, we really aren't going there.
Yeah. Here we go, but we never get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of weak.
Do you have a jaw-dropping moment here, Matt?
Absolutely. This is the moment I am calling the parade of penises.
All right. Same moment I went with for my jaw-dropping, but I called it the penis montage.
The penis montage? That's good.
I mean, whenever...
Why not the member montage and go with, some alliteration there, right?
I will give them credit with the penis montage, or what are you calling it? The penis parade.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen anything like that in a movie before, where we got multiple penises constantly in front of the camera for about a good 30-second clip? That was very strange.
It was 30 seconds worth of about 5 or 6 different penises, right? Like all in rapid succession, and all different shapes and sizes, right?
Oh, yeah.
We had a couple of really impressive specimens, both on the large and small end.
Yes.
It was something you don't see. I was trying to think, like Boogie Nights even.
No, I mean, you only really see Dirk Diggler's, and it's like
right
a fake.
At the very end.
It's fake, it was a prosthetic.
How far we've come, right?
Right. This is just full frontal male nudity, and it's a carousel of penises for a little while. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it was. And you know what? I got to say, that's probably the best part of the damn movie.
It was probably the time I was like laughing the most. Like, oh, here we again. This is where I thought it was going to take off, but right after that, it just went back downhill.
It did.
But there's no female nudity. I should mention. I noticed even the girls, when they're in their big stripper moment, do even have like some type of like what do you call it? A pasties on your nipple. So there's actually no full female nudity.
Interesting.
But there is multiple throughout the movie male full frontal nudity. I thought that was pretty interesting to sort of change that up.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? There's a feminist angle to this movie. I think it depends on which camp of feminism you're in, if you connect to that or not. But, you could definitely say that it's there.
Sure.
At least the attempt is there.
Movie poster quote for me, Matt?
Zola is a crazy ride down the road we've been on a few times before, but it makes a few new stops. That might be generous.
Yeah. I went with Zola does not deserve your dollars.
Ooh, how many Jaws?
1.5 Jaws. 1.5 Jaws.
I went 2 Jaws.
So neither were very big fans of Zola.
No.
And this movie did play, I want to say, can we throw this in the jaw box? I believe this movie played at Sundance 2019.
Yeah, so it's one of the films that got screwed up by the pandemic.
Right. But I'm not positive on that, so check that out. Make sure that's right, Phil. And from my understanding, see it in the theater, and why I brought that up was that, you're in a crowded theater. You can imagine the laughs and the craziness that maybe would have helped seeing that. But sitting here watching a screener in my house, it just didn't grab me.
Well, a whole bunch of talented filmmakers and storytellers and artists latched onto #the story, thought it was brilliant work. So if you're in the mood, maybe check out the actual tweet.
And I wanted to say, did you?
No, but I read this big article in Rolling Stone about the true story behind it. I never did go and check out the tweets.
I have not either. I have not checked out the tweets either. But it launches me into this question that I wanted to throw at you, and I sort of teased it at the beginning. I wanted to ask you your favorite stripper movie.
Oh, my favorite stripper movie? Well, let's see. I mean, I suppose it's got to be Showgirls, right? Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell. It was supposed to be the movie that launched her career, but did it fall flat on its face. I think there's a beauty. It's one of those movies that's so bad, it's good. And plus, it gave us jazz hands, right?
Who doesn't love jazz hands?
We do it to this day. Most people don't know where that comes from. Comes from that movie.
For me, I go the other side of the aisle, if you will. Male strippers in the 2015 movie Magic Mike.
Still haven't caught up with that one.
So much fun. Channing Tatum, Matthew McConaughey when he was in his reconnaissance,
Reconnaissance, I like that.
coming back. This was full throttle McConaughey. It's hilarious, and it's just Channing Tatum was a stripper.
Yeah. In real life.
Prior to becoming an actor. And so it's not based on a true story, but because he has that background, it helped immensely.
He wasn't exactly method acting is what you're trying to say.
It's very funny. I did write another one down when I thought of this question, and it's not so much a stripper movie. That's why I didn't want to list it as a number one, but it's a great stripper scene.
Okay.
And that's in the 2004 movie Closer with Natalie Portman, who plays a stripper, and Clive Owen goes to see her at the club, and some real seedy conversation ensues. And Clive Owen, I swear to God, Clive Owen plays the best dirtbag that you can possibly play.
Yeah, he's Clive Owen.
Yeah, I always think to myself, when I go to a strip club, I want to be just like Clive Owen.
Okay. If I had to throw another one out at you, you got to go Striptease, Demi Moore. It's a classic. We don't need to talk much about it.
She was paid an immense amount of money. It was all the talk. I believe Burt Reynolds was in that movie as well.
Good.
With no hair. That was a big thing. Now it's
no
coming back to me.
Or no hair?
No, he took off because he was wearing a toupee for all those years. And in Striptease, he went with no toupee.
You're trying to tell me Burt Reynolds wore a toupee?
Hate to crush your spirits here, Matt. Wow. But yes.
Smokey and the Bandit just ruined.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, let me ask you, speaking of movies, like Zola that kind of shine a light on the underworld, what do you think makes a good underworld movie? Like what are the characteristics?
Well, for me, I would say there's two things in particular that make a really good underworld movie. And that's unique and interesting characters. Right,
that makes any good movie.
Right, but the world, when you're in the underworld, needs to have those kind of sort of dirtbags that are interesting. And why are they dirtbags? And why are they here in this situation that they're in? That always helps.
Like Clive Owen.
Like Clive Owen at that strip club in Closer, for sure. And the other thing is, the stranger the underworld, the better. So yes, you can always go mob, that's the underworld. But I like something that I'm completely unaware of.
Like this, like hoism,
that was pretty good. But I like even something like go even crazier, like selling human organs on the black market. You get into that like weird stuff, like what's going on?
And they don't all have to be illegal underworlds. They could just be like, like that Scrabble movie.
Sure. Yeah. Anything where it's like, wow, that really happens. I didn't know this all went down. And it's the crazier, the better for me. So if you can get something that it's so bizarre that I had no idea or never even paused in my mind to think that exists or that people are doing this, that's my favorite thing. I'm like, what is going on with this movie? And then I'm just so drawn into it.
King of Kong is another example. For me, it's a vernacular. There's got to be some sort of unique way of talking that shows a culture that's alien but makes it feel real. Especially if it's a fiction, they have to develop their own language, their own cadence. Zola has that. It's very much that "Cash Me Outside, how about that" kind of vernacular that they use throughout this movie. Same thing with Spring Breakers, and that I think like King of Kong. For example, like Donkey Kong kill screen. Come on, like who the hell knew what a Donkey Kong kill screen was?
That was my favorite part of that movie.
Oh, that's
You're right.
everybody's favorite part of the movie. But it shines a light on this dorky underworld that we didn't know existed, but it makes it feel so real.
Right.
Pulls you in.
Yeah, because somehow they have a catchphrase that we've never heard of, but it's a catchphrase in that underworld, and it all of a sudden becomes something that we latch onto.
Right. Think about mob movies. You mentioned mob movies earlier. Like the good ones, like Goodfellas, they show you a side of the mafia that makes it feel like a club, like the vernacular, like when he explains how this guy is called Tommy 2 times because he says everything 2 times, and he explained what all the terms mean. That's cool. It makes you feel like you're part of that underworld.
Sure. And Scorsese went back to that with The Irishman about, I hear you paint walls.
Right. I hear you paint houses.
Paint houses, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting. Well, since we're on the topic, your favorite underworld crime movies, Matt. Do you got any picked out?
Well, I had a couple written down, and we've been talking about Tangerine a lot. So I'm not going to say that one is amazing because it really did show me a part of a world that I didn't know existed. But I'll throw out John Wick. It's fun because it builds a world that's just underneath our own. This like has its own currency, its own like economy. This hitman assassin world. There's different factions within that world. And it's so rich, it just comes alive. And, I think that's a cool underworld movie.
So looking at like lists of underworld crime, it always comes up mob movies, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Kate Beckinsale.
No, that would have been cheesy, terrible. Come on. I'm not going there. I got to give the Jawheads a real underworld movie. And for me, and I have talked about this movie, but I enjoy it so much because the Russian mafia is just crazy,
Oh, here we go.
Yep. And that is where I go with Eastern Promises.
Viggo.
Yep. Very gritty 2007 film, starred Naomi Watts and Viggo Mortensen. And in this film, Watts plays a midwife who delivers a baby from a young woman, and that young woman dies during childbirth. And now we have this baby that she doesn't know who should take care of this. And so she starts investigating who is this young woman. Well, it turns out the Russian mafia forced this young woman into prostitution. And now we got an issue, and Viggo Mortensen plays sort of the muscle, He's the gritty guy that realizes he's got to do the right thing and actually take care of the baby and Naomi Watts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So good and so gritty. And I just fear everything of Russian mafia, just.
Yeah, they're no joke, dude.
Exactly. And if you haven't seen it, can we see if it's streaming anywhere on one of the main services, Phil? Eastern Promises. Well worth a watch.
We should do like a movie challenge again where you like make me watch something and I make you watch something.
Yeah, because then you would finally see Eastern Promises.
Maybe, if that's the one you chose.
Yeah. I did have one written down that is a complete hidden gem when it comes to underworld crime movies. And this is a 2009 French prison movie called A Prophet.
Okay.
And this is the story of one man who goes to jail. He's sentenced, I think, like 6 years. And while he's imprisoned for this like petty crime, he rises the whole inmate, chain.
Okay.
First
he climbs the social ladder.
Yeah. First he's supposed to, be doing this for this guy, but then he ends up taking over that guy's role, so on and so forth.
Oh, so it becomes the boss like?
Yeah. And he ends up from prison becoming sort of
the Don. Interesting.
The name of the movie is A Prophet. It is so good. Do
Wow.
check it out.
Okay. Never even heard of that one. It's awesome.
So, Zola is an A24 film.
Yeah.
Got me thinking. Looking at their list, and I pulled it up in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You see it here? What would you say are your 3 favorite A24 films?
In no particular order.
I'd rather you rank them.
You want me to
3, 2,
rank
1.
them?
If you could rank 3, 2, 1. I know it's tough, but look at this list. It's an impressive list, Matt.
All right. Here's the thing. I'm going to go on movies that I would like to watch again. Okay? So my favorite is The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Wow. That's your number 1.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I love that movie, dude.
Holy
I
cow.
I need to watch it again. You
Wow.
would think The Witch, right?
Well, yeah.
I don't
mean,
know. Like, I don't know. I love The Witch, but it's very derivative. And so is Hereditary, too, frankly. So my number 2 would have to be Midsommer, which I think really is Ari Aster's masterpiece so far. It's much better than Hereditary. It's so beautiful, so crazy, so haunting. I think I will watch the director's cut that's like 5 hours long just to spend more time in that world, as gruesome as it was. And to round out my list, I'm going with 8th Grade. Yeah.
Made number 3, 8th grade. I mean, that's a
each one of
fine
those
movie,
movies-
but geez.
I think each one of them were my favorite movie of the year they came out.
Interesting. Wow.
Pretty sure.
This tells you, Jawheads, just how good and stacked A24 has been
They're huge.
in such a relative short time. I mean, A24, the first movies were coming out in like 2013. We were already doing Cinemajaw when
Yeah.
the studio started. And I'm about to give my 3 that I wrote down here, and none of them are what Matt had. I'm going to go reverse order. My number 3, I had Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, another one I still have to catch up with, dude.
So interesting. We've talked about it many times on the Jaw. Love that film. At number 2, I went with Lady Bird.
Yeah, I know a lot of people love this movie, dude.
I love it so much. Saoirse Ronan, so great. Directed by Greta Gerwig. Love Lady Bird. Watched it for an A24 movie. I definitely have seen Lady Bird now about 3 times, so it's high on my list. And my number 1, which I cannot believe did not make your top 3, Ex Machina.
Ex Machina is awesome, dude.
I mean,
Phil, what do you think? What did you think it was going to be?
Matt, where the hell is Green Room?
and Green Room.
Green Rooms, yeah. Yeah, Green Room
On
was
Matt
awesome.
K's list, Green Room didn't show up.
What, just because it's a punk rock movie?
Yes, it's also awesome.
It is awesome. I think there are better punk rock movies.
Honorable mentions.
After 2000 at all?
Yes.
Honorable mentions, and you could just list the whole list if you pulled up Wikipedia, right? But Moonlight won the Academy
Oh,
Award,
hell
and I
yeah.
love it. The Florida Project was
Yeah.
my number 1 the year that came out. American Honey with Shia LaBeouf. I love this movie. You mentioned Midsommer, and finally A Ghost Story with Casey
Oh, yeah.
Affleck, which I just adored. So,
Yeah. Dude, they make good movies at A24.
my goodness, it is an impressive list what
It's
they're
tough
doing.
to point to a bad one. I didn't even know Boys State was an A24 movie, the documentary. But that was like my favorite documentary of the year.
I mean, it reminds me very much of like, especially when Pixar was on their early run, you'd say like, oh, well, it's a Pixar movie. It means something, right?
Yeah, and they've got like twice as many movies now.
I saw a movie review. I'm really big on this movie, Jawheads, called The Empty Man. That is like a cult movie horror film that I really, really like this movie. And it came out, I want to say, at the end of last year and during the pandemic, and just sort of just fizzled out. And it's starting to get a little bit of a cult following. People are catching up with this movie.
Okay.
And the best review I read on Letterboxd, somebody said, if this had the A24 symbol in front of the movie, we'd be talking about movie of the year. And I thought, it's so true. That once you see it's an A24 movie right now, everybody takes it seriously. Okay, it's an A24 film. Let's see what we got.
Here's another one I didn't know, too. Ready? Swiss Army Man. No idea that was A24. And Tusk, the Kevin Smith horror film. No clue. That was an A24 movie.
Wow.
I think at the time they were just producing, or like maybe they were like a very small time studio. That was right before they popped and became what we know today as A24.
Interesting.
But it counts. It's on their list.
Yeah, definitely one to look forward to. And I showed Phil the trailer for the movie I'm looking forward to most this summer when we did our summer movie preview, The Green Knight, A24.
boom. I mean, really, whenever it's true, I think it might even be more exciting than Pixar today.
So wrapping up this conversation, Matt, interesting thing happening here with Zola being based on a Twitter feed, right? Very strange to get your idea for a movie from a Twitter feed. So is A24 and these studios now coming out with a subgenre of social media core?
Yeah, like mumblecore, you mean? Yeah, I think so. I think it's that these devices are so intrinsic now. It's almost like an extension of our body. If you leave the house without your phone, it's even more devastating than not having your wallet or keys, right? You could survive without your wallet or keys, but not your phone. So I think you get movies like Personal Shopper, 8th Grade, Tangerine, and now Zola, and it's pointing toward a new genre. So yeah, I think they are.
And two that you didn't mention is Unfriended, which was a horror movie that all took place online, which I thought was going to be complete junk. I did watch it because they sent it to us, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. What the hell? Not all that bad. I'm not going to say it was great, but it's like, okay, I can get where they're coming from. You can actually make a movie about friends being online, and it actually worked.
What was that mystery with the dad who was missing his daughter?
John Cho in Searching.
Searching, yeah. There's another one.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And it all took place online, and it was a thriller. So it does work because I think we're so used to looking at these screens that now telling a story through text, through phone, whatever it's going to be, we're used to it. So it doesn't seem all that foreign or odd to be able to use it as a story device.
Right. And I think there's a new batch of young filmmakers that are doing it well, So...
And that's, I mean, we're talking about that, and then you can even get into the idea of, the people like Steven Soderbergh and so forth shooting movies on iPhones.
Right.
And I mean, that starts to cross into the whole...
Like Tangerine, which we're talking about a lot, but that was shot on an iPhone.
Absolutely. So you get that whole idea where it's like, well, and that was Sean Baker. So yeah, I mean, people are using the technology. We're going to see more and more films about social media into the genre, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Anything else on Zola that we have not said or discussed here, Matt K?
No, I think we hit the high points. I mean, do you think we're missing anything?
I think we're looking pretty good on Zola.
All right. Well, what do you think, Jawheads? Did we cover it well? Did we miss any facts or details? If you watch it, let us know what you think. Shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw or write us an email, feedback@cinemajaw.com.
Sounds good, Matt. What we're going to do is take a quick break. We're going to grab another beer since we're all together and we're having a good time.
I'm empty. I'm ready.
We're going to grab a beer. We're having a good time. And when we come back, we're going to open up that fish tank. We also have a retro review of Van Wilder plus Stump Matt Kubinski on Marvel movies, the MCU. Stick with us, Jawheads.
Jawheads, I want you to do me a favor. Pull your phone out of your pocket and go to your YouTube app. Search for the Cinemajaw channel and hit subscribe. Really, please do it right now. This will do two things. One, it helps us reach more people. We want to spread the good word about film, and you clicking subscribe really helps us do that. And two, it costs you nothing. That's right. Subscribing to Cinemajaw on YouTube is fun and it's free. Think of it as a donation that doesn't even cost you anything. Even if you just listen to the podcast and never really watch the videos, you subscribing on YouTube helps us make the podcast better too. But please check out a few videos while you're there. We think they're pretty good. So right now, while you're listening, before you forget, take your phone out. It shouldn't even interrupt the show. And go to YouTube, search Cinemajaw, and hit subscribe. And thank you so much.
And we are back on Cinemajaw. We have cracked a beer, have we not, Matt?
Several.
Many.
At least a couple to a tree.
I'm going
as they
with,
say here in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm going with Revolution Fist City. What do you got?
I have a very rare beer. I'm sure a lot of Jawheads will not be familiar with, but it's called Pabst Blue Ribbon. Apparently, this beer won a Blue Ribbon.
Sure did.
The legend goes that it was here in Chicago at the famous World Fair, as I learned in Devil in the White City.
You love your PBR.
I do. It's classic.
Matt, before we get to Van Wilder, which had a lot of beer drinking going on in the movie, and before we get to Stump the Kubinski, we did throw a few items into the jaw box, and I know Phil is enjoying a PBR in the jaw box. Is that allowed, Matt? Let's open that up.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, there's some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Thank you so much. What they actually do, it's actually very dangerous because they filter out all of the water, and I'm just swimming inside of alcohol. It's horrible living conditions, but I'm fine. I'm feeling great. I've peed like 18 times in Ryan's house already. I feel terrific. That being said, I'm glad we're talking about urine and balls in this episode because it is the Van Wilder episode, but we do have some questions in here. It was the first one, what is the real Zola's name? So IRL, her name is Azia King. And I also, she did a tell-all with Rolling Stones. If you'd like to hear more from Azia, I did put, there's a link to that in the show notes. And then if you want to hear more from her, of course, you can always, it's just @Zola. So
on Twitter.
So she's still on Twitter at that handle. So tweet her.
When did Zola play at Sundance? It came out in the 2020 Sundance. Yep, January 24th, 2020. So like we were saying, right in the thick of the pandemic, right when
the 2020
weird distribution happened.
Sundance actually went off.
It went off, and then the pandemic happened. Okay, so that's interesting.
It was in January, so it was.
I remember a lot of like friends of ours who went said that they got sick, which they always do. Just going to Sundance normally, but they, were wondering, was it COVID?
Interesting.
Could have been.
And then our last one is Eastern Promises streaming. I always hate this because they never are. Unfortunately, it's not included in any subscription. It is free with ads on Peacock.
That's pretty decent.
It's lame, even Peacock Premium. So if you're paying for Peacock, you still have to watch this film with ads. No way around it.
That is lame.
You can rent it if you want an ad-free, like the proper experience on all the usuals, but other than that, that's all she wrote.
Was that everything, Phil?
That's all we got in here.
All right. Jump back in that fish tank.
You betcha.
Matt, back in 2001, the name Ryan Reynolds did not carry that much weight to it. Even today, your mileage may vary when it comes to his movies. His first big starring role was in National Lampoon's Van Wilder, a raunchy comedy in the spirit of Animal House. To up the ante, the filmmakers casted Tara Reid, hot off American Pie movies, as his love interest. How does the movie hold up? How does it look with a pair of 2021 glasses on? Matt Kay and I headed back to Coolidge College to find out.
This spring,
Dan is still in school for the better part of a decade.
he'll be cut off.
Dad, I placed a stop payment on this semester's check. Maybe you could put me on some sort of pay-as-you-go program?
Mr. Wilder, are you trying to seduce me?
No.
Hey. Are you stalking me? Because that would be super.
Doesn't she have a boyfriend?
Details.
He has a virus, and I'm the vaccine.
If he's here, who's running hell?
And he'll be set up.
We got an anonymous tip that there's some underage drinking going on here.
What?
Van Wilder's tenure here at Coolidge is over.
The plot synopsis on Google is as goofy as the movie itself. It goes like this. He's the big man on campus. He's the boss with the sauce. He's the guy all the girls want and all the guys want to be. 'Cause in the collegiate jungle, there can only be one king, and at Coolidge College, it's Van Wilder. In the grand tradition of comedy classics like National Lampoon's Animal House and National Lampoon's Vacation, National Lampoon's Van Wilder will charm you, move you, and gross you out. In the film, a school newspaper reporter named Gwen, played by Tara Reid, is writing a piece on Van Wilder. Why? I don't know. Maybe Matt can answer that. In the article, she credits Van with throwing a party for a fraternity, and this, in turn, helps Van Wilder because others are willing to pay for him to throw amazing parties. As Gwen gets closer to Van Wilder, she realizes He's going out of his way to not graduate from college. This finally lights a fire under Van Wilder to finish school. The film is filled with crude jokes, goofy characters, and bad writing. I was not put off by any of the jokes, but I did not find many of them that funny either. Matt, did you yourself laugh out loud at Van Wilder?
This is an interesting question. I think I laughed internally to Van Wilder, but I don't think I actually laughed out loud. I was not put off by by any of the jokes necessarily, but I will say that it is not written in today's mood when it comes to comedy. We, by and large, this style of comedy is just not in fashion anymore, right? There are crude jokes about everything from physical ability, race, sex, you name it, man. I mean, they truly do hit on just about everything. And I think I'm okay with it, but I can understand how a lot of people might find this movie offensive today.
Oh, sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't actually think any of the jokes were smart enough to really laugh at them, out loud and really enjoy this movie. It's more like, okay, that's somewhat funny. I'll chuckle here, I'll chuckle there. But we've seen this kind of premise done so much better so many times. It's like, this is like a watered down version
of American Pie meets like Animal House.
Yeah, Animal House, or even Revenge of the Nerds, all those scenes when they go to college. Those were some funny moments that we can laugh at.
And Booger is in this movie.
He is in this movie. That is correct. They do. We'll get over a couple of the castings in here because there's some throwbacks to the old movies for sure.
They drag out some John Hughes actors, et cetera, et cetera.
So they do that, but I mean, we've seen the movies and we've seen these scenarios done so much better.
But we haven't seen them with Deadpool, because let's be honest, Van Wilder is essentially Deadpool. The whole movie starts out with him on a roof, and it's basically a Deadpool monologue. You hear Ryan Reynolds' voice, and I just can't disassociate it in my head. I'm like, holy crap, it's Deadpool 25 years ago.
So I laughed
20 years ago.
If we're talking about actually funny scenes, I thought that when he was on the roof with the kid is a good opening, and the kid does jump. This is an old movie. And it's Van Wilder. It doesn't matter if we.
That was a kid from American Pie too. That was Sheldon or whatever, the nerdy kid who finally gets laid at the end of the movie.
Oh, that was him.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even pick up on that. But he does jump. It opens up. I thought, all right, this has got a shot. Maybe I am going to enjoy this. And really, that was maybe the high point for me. I'm not saying that I didn't chuckle and, like you're saying, laugh inside, but I thought it was going to be more raunchy, funnier all the way around, and it just wasn't for me.
No, I guess it's a little bit watered down, but it was fine, and it feels raunchy today, right?
Well, yes, everything feels raunchy today, right? But let's go to this question. As I mentioned when I was talking about it earlier, why would Tara Reid, Tara Reid just cannot act. I mean, it is painful to watch her in this movie. Literally painful. I mean, everything felt uncomfortable watching how bad she is.
It's not like Ryan Reynolds is Laurence Olivier either. Come on, let's be honest here.
Well, he's not good either. I actually thought to myself, I don't know how he became a star, because this clearly wasn't the vehicle.
This was the vehicle.
But in my mind, I was thinking about it. This wasn't the vehicle. How is this that good? I mean, he's not, to me, that charismatic in this movie at all.
Well, here's the thing, Rye. Is he that charismatic?
I don't know.
I mean, really, it's Deadpool, right? That's his vehicle. That's the movie he found that has really elevated him.
Yeah, I mean, this made me reevaluate his entire career, because I thought, maybe he's just not even that good in anything. Because
where the hell have you been, dude? I've said this 3 weeks ago when you were like, we're going to do Ryan Reynolds this month. Like, what the hell were you thinking?
We should have did Tara Reid.
He's had some moments, and I love Deadpool. Like, he really is the perfect guy to play Deadpool, and that's it. And I really think that is it.
Wow. Well, all right. My question was going to be, Tara Reid plays a newspaper reporter. Why? And how could this even be the plot that the newspaper reporter is going to do a story on Van Wilder? Why?
Why not? It seemed like a decent enough plot for a stupid college movie. Do you remember the plot from PCU? I mean, do you remember the plot from Animal House? I sure as hell don't.
No, I guess you're right there, but it's just like it just seems so far-fetched that that they would send a reporter to talk to a student. It was just ridiculous.
She's a student reporter. So what the hell else is she going to report on? The students, that's what they do, right?
I guess. All right, so we were talking about actors that are in the movie that come from like the John Hughes movies, and one of them was the principal from The Breakfast Club.
Right.
Which was good to see him, and every time I see him...
Was he stuck in time? He looks exactly the same as he does in Breakfast Club.
Yes. As soon as he comes on the screen, the line that comes to mind for me anyways, and it's not even him delivering it, it's Bender in the movie, Judd Nelson. Is that his name?
Yeah, you got it right.
Yep. Is when he goes to open up the door with the the newspaper stand, and he says, "The door's way too heavy, sir." Do you remember this line in The Breakfast Club? And the door slams on the principal's face. I laughed just seeing him, but I don't know what he was doing in Van Wilder.
He was okay in Van Wilder. I mean, why not? I liked seeing him. He was great. I liked seeing Booger as well.
Booger was in there as well. And surprise, surprise, Jawheads, Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad is in Van Wilder.
That's who it was. I was trying to figure it out. I was like, is that... the kid who does the Nerdist podcast? Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, Phil, do you know who I'm talking about?
No clue.
You know the Nerdist, though. I mean,
I heard the Nerdist, but I don't know who the kid is. But
he's a man.
Back to the point of actuality here. Aaron Paul plays a drunk party kid that at the very beginning...
Two scenes, yeah.
Yeah. At the very beginning, Van Wilder's dad comes to a party, and what was the theme of this party? Cross-dress or...
Yeah, it was a cross-dress pajama
kind
party.
Of thing. Yeah. So Van Wilder's in like lingerie, and he's got like makeup on, and he's in the closet. And the dad opens it up and sees Van Wilder, and then this drunk kid comes up, and I just started laughing out loud. I'm like, that is Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. It was so funny to see him so young and, dare I say, trashed.
Pause. Who's the guy from Harold and Kumar?
Cal Penn.
Cal Penn?
Yep.
And this is the movie where we kind of first see Cal Penn, right, from Harold and Kumar.
Right.
This is where he gets his start.
Yep.
And boy, would he go on to have a great career.
Yes. I mean, he was pretty good in there. But again, does the movie go anywhere where I would want to see anything more from these characters? No.
And listen, we gotta call it what it is. It's a racial stereotype that he's playing.
Oh, 100%.
For laughs. So I felt like, oh man, is this okay? I don't know. I really don't.
So this was a first time watch for me all the way through. I had seen this movie in parts various times at someone's place. We're having drinks.
Oh,
they're
really?
like, oh, you got to see Van Wilder. And it would be like, oh, I remembered. So when I was watching it, I remembered this scene. I remembered that scene. But did I ever sit down to watch it from start to finish and make a point of it? This was my first. And to be honest, I was a bit let down. I thought it was going to be funnier than it was, but...
No, I enjoyed revisiting Van Wilder, but I wasn't expecting much from
Was there a jaw-dropping moment for you at all? Something that was like, wow, that was good? Or...
I did forget about the eclairs. There's a college prank involving a dog and some eclairs that's pretty raunchy.
That is a dog. Yeah, Phil was talking about pig's balls earlier.
Yeah. No,
and the dog has very large testicles as well.
Yes, he does. That was pretty good.
For me, it was actually a scene that I remembered seeing earlier, and that was when the principal, Van Wilder, wants to stay in college, and he has to figure out a way to stay in college. His dad doesn't want to pay the tuition anymore, and the principal is this older lady who takes advantage. She might not be the principal.
She's not the dean. She's on the board or something.
Right. She takes advantage of Van Wilder and make out and so on. So you can imagine what
Which is a joke we've seen better done in Kingpin.
Right. But it is still that like gross, funny kind of moment. And I remember I was like, oh God. So a little bit jaw-dropping.
Yeah, and they get some decent callbacks from it as well. Mm-hmm. They really milk it dry. No pun intended.
I was just about to say no pun intended. All right, how about a movie poster quote, Matt? I'm going to go with this. Van Wilder is not a course you need to finish for your film degree.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one, Ryan.
Thank you, Matt.
Oh man, give me a second. Should I do a college one too? All right, here we go. All right, I went with If you want to see a Ryan Reynolds movie, watch Deadpool. And if you want to see a Tara Reid movie, watch Sharknado.
How many Jaws?
It's a stupid college humor movie that's way out of date. The jokes are a little cringy at this time. I would probably give it 1.5 to 2 Jaws.
Yeah, I'm right with you, Matt. 1.5, 2 Jaws. Now, Phil, I always ask you, can you do a little internet research when we're doing these retro reviews? And you did some on Van Wilder, right?
Oh yeah, I got some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to start with the boring stuff, the numbers here. The film was released April 5th, 2002. It was made with a budget of $5 million, and it went on to gross $38. Wow. I mean, 2000's time, that's not bad. Sure. We're talking Bush era, right?
People made money.
Right? They're going to spend like $38 million profit. Or $33 million profit. Yeah. Housing crisis didn't happen yet. They're fine.
What was the budget of $5 million spent on? The dog with the large testicles?
I don't know. Yeah, because these were all like no-name actors at the time.
Yeah.
Its opening weekend, it was number 7th. The number 1 film that same weekend was a terrific film. It was Panic Room with Jodie Foster.
Interesting.
Huh.
That's going back in time.
Yeah. Still holds up. Panic Room.
Yeah, surprisingly that this was even a number at all. I mean, I guess last is a number, but this is not particularly well received. It has an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oof.
Right.
That's about where it should fit.
And old school's probably got, like a 75 or something like that.
Yeah.
Even Animal House has got a tower over this movie.
Oh, 100%. Those are so much better films than Van Wilder.
Yeah.
This is interesting to me because I didn't know that this would have been relevant at all when they were writing it. But the film is based on the real-life experiences of Bert Kreischer, who I didn't know was active during this time.
I don't even know who that is. Bert Kreischer?
I don't know him either.
He only came into my periphery in 2014 or something.
Who is he?
He's a comedian.
Oh, okay.
He's a stand-up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's known to be a party guy.
So it makes sense then, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that in 2002 he was already in entertainment is wild to me.
Is it Van Wild?
Incredibly, yeah. This on Matt was talking about Kal Penn. And before I get into this fact, I do just want to say I believe Matt's exact words were Kal Penn went on to have a great career.
Yeah.
I'd love everyone to slam dunk Chris Rock style on Matt for that one. He had 2 really good movies and then disappeared.
I don't think that's true.
I think he's gone into politics now, to be honest. I think he's out of acting. Yeah.
But he had a great career after.
He had
a great career.
He had 2 good movies and then a Christmas
Harold and
sequel.
Kumar, and then he was in fucking Star Trek.
The Namesake
No, he was not in Star Trek.
The Namesake was, I think, the other.
You're thinking the other Harold and
Henry.
Kumar.
Yes.
Complete misfire by Matt.
No, but Kal Penn did some stuff too.
The Namesake is the only other film I can think of that's not a Harold and Kumar.
You look that up while Phil gives us the fact.
Oh, you know what? He was in another movie, and this maybe would count as one of his hits. He was in the sequel to Van Wilder, The Rise of Taj. It centered on Kal Penn's character Taj Mahal Badalandabad.
I'm sure that's what Matt was thinking about. The sequel to Van Wilder. Yes, he
truly
had a
onto
great
greatness. In addition to that,
well, Harold had a great career.
Even crazier than that they had a sequel, right, given an 18% fresh rating. They also had a prequel produced for this film. It was direct to DVD, so at least there's that. It was released in 2009 by Paramount, and it was entitled The Freshman Year. It does follow a younger Van, played by Jonathan Bennett, as he deals with his very first year of college instead of his many prolonged years.
Pass. I'm not going to see that at all.
I'm going to go down the Van Wilder rabbit hole and watch the entire series.
Oh, Jesus.
There's only 3 of them, Matt.
Please,
so
Matt.
All right,
it'll be a fast night, and one of them's got your favorite boy.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, yeah, you guys are correct. Kal Penn did not have the distinguished career that I thought he did, but hey,
I like him, but
the evening is young, Cal. If you're listening,
man, good stuff. Was that everything, Phil?
That's all we got on Van Wilder.
All right. So Matt and I both agree 1.5 to 2 Jaws. If you've seen Van Wilder, we watched it on Hulu. So it is streaming on Hulu, Jawheads. If you see it, agree, disagree, want to comment, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw or email us, feedback@cinemajaw.com. Matt, next week on this show, we are reviewing Black Widow.
Cannot wait.
You have to be excited for
I am
this.
stoked.
Finally, a Marvel movie.
Who isn't?
Me. I'm not that excited for it at all.
I'm not either.
Both you guys suck.
So I decided instead of trivia, we would play Stump the Kubinski. And what I did prior to the podcast was send 5 questions to Phil that I wrote.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Phil, and we're going to bet on this. How many do you think Matt is going to get right? You've looked over the questions, Phil. What do you think? And you know Matt is a Marvel fan. So how many of the 5 does he get right here?
We should elaborate. This is specifically MCU.
Right.
So it's more than just the comics. Because I think if it was comics, it would have been like all 5. Knowing the questions that we have for Matt, I think he's only going to get 2. I think he's going to get a 40%er.
2?
Yeah. Just 2.
See, I know that, Ryan, you could be tricky and start asking me about the directors and this and that.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's the thing. If it was like, who wrote Spider-Man, The Amazing or Ultimate Spider-Man issue 24, and who did the cover art, who did...
Yeah, the name of Thor's hammer. Yeah. Both of them.
All right.
Here we go.
I'm going to actually say Matt's going to do better than that. I think Matt gets 3 out of 5 correct.
Oh, boy, expectations.
Jawheads, he may stun us and get all 5. He may stun us and get all 5. If that happens, we're cracking a PBR on the podcast.
He may stun us and get 0. We're also cracking. No matter what number he gets, we're probably going to drink to it.
Hey, we're having fun here. Here we go. Question 1 over to Matt K. In Stump the Kubinski, Marvel trivia. They start off easy. Here you go, Matt. The Russo brothers have directed 4 movies in the MCU. Name them all.
Okay. The Russo brothers did they do the Spider-Man movies Far From Home? Oh, Jesus. Well, all right. Let me do process of elimination because obviously they didn't do Guardians. That's James Gunn. They didn't do the Avengers. That was Joss Whedon. But then they picked up the Avengers movies. They did Age of Ultron. They did Avengers Endgame and Avengers... what was the one before Endgame called?
You're thinking about Infinity War?
Infinity War. And then the 4th one would be... Oh, Jesus. I don't know. Because I think they're on the main thread here. And has there been another one? I don't think they did Black Widow. Would that even count?
No. Black Widow would not count since it has not been released as of this recording.
So the 4th Russo brothers MCU film was a Thor movie. I will say probably Dark World because they joined around that time.
All right, that is absolutely incorrect. You were off on the Avengers.
No, I didn't say Avengers. I said Age of Ultron.
I know. Age of Ultron is incorrect. So the 4 that they did, actually, they came in with Captain America Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
Captain America Civil War. And then they did Avengers Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. Damn it.
Wow.
If I had more time to think about it, I think this is like the pressure getting to me.
Yeah. I mean, Phil's really looking good at this point because I thought that was the layup of them. They're only going to get harder here, Matt.
Jesus.
All right.
No more director's questions, man. Come on.
Right.
There are no more director's questions.
No, there are no. Question 2 over to Matt K. Stump the Kubinski.
Mjolnir.
Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Doctor Strange, has appeared in 4 MCU movies.
Okay.
Name them all.
Okay, obviously Doctor Strange.
That is correct. He's got 1.
He was in both Infinity War and Endgame.
He's got 3 of them, Jawheads. He just has to name the 4th.
That's trickier. Wow. What's the 4th one? It's got to be one. Is it one of the Spider-Man movies? Shit. Because he wasn't in the MCU in Civil War. He wasn't around yet. So it's post-Civil War. He's not in either of the Ant-Man movies. Was he in... He wasn't in Black Panther at all. Shit. Oh, man. And we're not counting anything that hasn't been released yet, right?
Correct.
Man, what am I missing? He's not in Guardians 2. Oh. Was he in Captain Marvel? That's my guess.
That is incorrect, Matt K.
Come on, I got 3 out of 4. What am I missing?
Thor Ragnarok.
That's easily the best Marvel movie yet.
Wait, he's in Thor Ragnarok?
Thor Ragnarok. According to my research, Thor Ragnarok.
Man, I'm going to call shenanigans on that. He's not in Thor Ragnarok.
We will double check it. Phil, start double checking that. Question 3. Move on.
Okay.
Question 3. We'll go back to that one just in case.
Okay.
Question 3 over to Matt K. Here we go. Who destroyed Thor's hammer and who played the character?
Hela.
Hela?
Kate Blanchett.
All right. He's on the board. He is on the board. Got that one correct. And he knew it very easily, too.
See? Come on, that should have been the first question.
Question 4 to Matt K. Stump the Kubinski is this. What is the name of Peter Quill's M-class spaceship in Guardians of the Galaxy?
This is a great question.
What is the name of Peter Quill's M-class spaceship in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Don't completely remember, but just going off of the character of Star-Lord, he would probably name it after something in the 80s, right? Because that's the era when he left Earth.
He's right on he's on the right path, isn't he, Phil?
Would he have named it like the Enterprise or something out of Star Trek? I don't think so. Oh, man, it would probably be more like Indiana Jones or something. Crap. Not the Temple of Doom or anything stupid like that. Oh, man. Is there any lifelines in this?
No lifelines. We'll give you a lifeline on this one.
All right, give me some kind of hint.
Your clue is the boss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 80s music. So
No, I stirred you in the wrong direction. Sorry.
It's also a cookie.
Yeah. This clue is the boss and also a cookie.
The boss and also a cookie? I mean, so when you say the boss, I think Springsteen.
Right, but you got to think who's the boss.
Oh, I see. Okay. Also a cookie. I mean, who's the boss? You got Tony Danza and you got Alyssa Milano. The Milano.
Wow, he's on the board.
Jesus, also a cookie. Well done, Phil.
Milano, named after Alyssa Milano. I love this Peter Quill. All right, question 5. He's got 2. 4 actresses have appeared in the MCU movies that have won Best Actress Oscar, not Supporting Actress, Best Actress. Name 3 of the 4.
Okay, 4 that have won the Best Actress. Natalie Portman.
That is 1.
I think Kate Blanchett as well.
That is 2. He is rolling here.
4 that have won.
Always got to name one more, and he's got 3 correct here.
Brie Larson.
That is correct. He's got 3. Do you want to go for 4?
No. That was the right answer.
We were looking for Natalie Portman on 4.
I said Natalie.
No, you didn't say Natalie.
I did. That was
Pepper
my first
Potts
one.
herself.
Oh, yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gwyneth Paltrow. Sorry,
Okay.
I missed it.
Natalie was my first answer.
So you did get 3 of the 5 correct according to my stats. Phil, can we confirm that Doctor Strange was in Thor Ragnarok?
He's in the post-credits sequence.
There it is.
Not in the main film.
What do we do
counts.
here?
I think it counts.
I think it counts also.
All right, it counts.
Yes. But 3 out of 5, I beat Phil. That's all I care about.
I also have to give my props to Matt. I thought for sure the Oscar one would have stumped him worst out of all of them.
Oh, no way, man. That's easy. There's so many like huge actresses in
exactly.
You thought I would have guessed the wrong ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I could have seen you saying Scarlett. She's been in great films.
Right.
She's never won though, famously.
No. Well done, Matt. 3 out of 5.
I'll take it.
You'll take it.
Yeah.
Stump the Kubinski.
That's a win in my book.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, talk about a win. This podcast has been a win. It's been great, guys, podcasting in person. Looking to my left and seeing Phil. Looking straight ahead, seeing Matt K. Can I have a cheers here, guys?
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers, Phil. Cheers. All right. Before we blow out of here, first and foremost, we got to thank Phil. He drove the furthest to get here. Thank you, Phil.
How far did you have to drive, buddy?
About 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a half hour, so yeah.
And Matt lives in the same city as me, but somehow you're still a half hour
It's a
away.
big city, man.
I know. Thanks for coming.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Ryan. Thanks for having us.
Yes. If you want to support Cinemajaw, the best way to do it is via Patreon. And we are doing something special for the Patreons, which is doing retro reviews of 80s action movies.
Yes, and by the time you hear this podcast, our latest episode will be up in which we cover the James Caan classic, Thief.
Yeah, it's a good one, wasn't it?
It is a good one, yes. Everyone should listen to our review of Thief. It was a fun revisit.
It was, absolutely. The other way you can support the podcast is by leaving us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
And while you're at it, please click subscribe. It really helps us out a lot.
Until next week, I'm Ryan, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on jawing about the movies.